When the world teetered on the edge of despair in the early 1940s, Britain faced a storm unlike any it had seen before. Cities were bombed relentlessly. Families huddled in basements, and the shadow of defeat loomed over an entire nation. Amidst this chaos, one man stood unshaken, a figure whose presence alone seemed to command hope and resilience. Winston Churchill, with his sharp gaze, ever-present cigar, and unmistakable voice, became more than a politician or soldier. He became the symbol of defiance against tyranny. His speeches were not mere words, they were a rallying cry, a lifeline thrown to a people who feared the darkness of occupation and the loss of everything they held dear. But Churchill's story is more than the war, more than the iconic images of him striding through bombed streets or delivering fiery speeches in the House of Commons. To understand the man behind the legend, we must journey back to his roots, explore the trials and triumphs that shaped his character, and see how a man seemingly ordinary in his beginnings rose to extraordinary heights when history demanded it. Born in 1874 into an aristocratic yet politically complex family, Churchill was not destined for greatness in a straight path. He faced setbacks, failures, and skepticism from those around him. Yet his tenacity, curiosity, and unyielding spirit propelled him forward. From his early days as a soldier and war correspondent through the turbulent years in Parliament, where his warnings about rising threats were often ignored, to the moment he became Prime Minister at a time when Britain's very survival was at stake. Churchill's life is a testament to courage, vision, and the power of perseverance. In this video, we will uncover the journey of Winston Churchill, the trials that tested him, the decisions that defined him, and the legacy he left that continues to inspire generations worldwide. Through archival footage, personal writings, and pivotal moments in history, we will not just recount events. We will step into the shoes of a man who refused to bow to fear, and whose leadership became the beacon of hope in one of humanity's darkest hours.
Welcome to Find the Stories. Please subscribe to the channel, like, share, and comment to support the channel.
Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill was born on November 30th, 1874, into a world of privilege and expectation. His father, Lord Randolph Churchill, was a prominent politician, while his mother, Jenny, was an American socialite known for her charm and wit. Yet, despite his aristocratic lineage, Churchill's early life was far from easy. He was a sickly child, often isolated, and struggled with formal education. His teachers doubted his intellect, dismissing him as slow and lazy. But these early struggles shaped a young man determined to prove himself, someone who would never bow to conventional expectations or the judgments of others. From a young age, Churchill demonstrated an insatiable curiosity and a passion for adventure. He loved reading about history, military campaigns, and politics, absorbing lessons from the lives of great leaders before him. At 17, he entered the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst, facing yet another set of challenges. Churchill was not the most disciplined cadet, often clashing with authority, but his determination and resilience allowed him to graduate, earning his commission as a second lieutenant in the British Army in 1895. His military career took him across the globe, from India to Sudan and South Africa. In India, Churchill experienced the rigid structures of the British Empire, learning firsthand the complexities of leadership and administration. He soon became known not just for his courage, but also for his keen intellect and eye for strategy. It was in the Sudan, during the campaign against the Mahdist forces, that Churchill first distinguished himself as a soldier. Charging into battle with audacity, he displayed both bravery and an instinct for leadership, qualities that would define his later years. Churchill's experiences in South Africa during the Second Boer War further shaped his character. Captured by Boer forces, he made a daring escape from a prisoner of war camp, an event that catapulted him into national fame. Beyond the heroics, it was his writing about these experiences that revealed his talent for storytelling and communication. Churchill's dispatches and later books combined vivid detail with strategic insight, establishing him as a thoughtful observer of warfare and a rising public figure. By his mid-20s, Churchill had begun to carve a path that blended military service, political ambition, and literary prowess. He was not just a soldier. He was a historian, journalist, an aspiring statesman. His early failures in academics and social life had instilled a deep resilience. Churchill learned that courage was not merely physical but also intellectual, requiring the boldness to speak truth, make difficult choices, and endure criticism. These lessons from his formative years: resilience in the face of adversity, the courage to take risks, and the art of communication would become the bedrock of his leadership in the turbulent decades to come. Churchill entered the political arena in 1900 as a young, ambitious member of parliament for the Conservative Party. From the outset, he displayed an energetic, fearless approach to politics, unafraid to speak his mind, even when it went against party lines. Early in his career, he switched alliances to the Liberal Party, seeking to pursue social reforms that reflected his evolving political philosophy. He championed issues such as labor rights, social welfare, and naval expansion, demonstrating both a progressive outlook and a commitment to national defense. Despite his drive, Churchill's political journey was anything but smooth. He faced frequent criticism, skepticism, and even ridicule from colleagues in the press. Many dismissed him as arrogant or overly ambitious, yet he continued to persevere, learning from each setback. His tenure in government saw him handling complex and often controversial issues, from economic reform to military strategy. These experiences honed his ability to navigate political currents, manage conflicts, and make decisions under intense pressure, skills that would prove invaluable during the coming global crisis. One of Churchill's most remarkable traits during this period was his ability to foresee threats that others ignored. In the 1930s, as Adolf Hitler rose to power in Germany, Churchill was one of the few voices in Britain warning about the dangers of appeasement and the growing menace of Nazi Germany. His warnings were often dismissed as alarmist, and he faced political isolation, earning the nickname the Lone Wolf. Yet Churchill remained steadfast, convinced that moral courage and foresight were essential for the survival of the nation. His persistence in speaking truth to power reflected not only his political acumen but also his deep sense of duty and responsibility. Churchill's writings during this period further cemented his reputation. His historical analysis, biographies, and journalistic work demonstrated his intellectual depth and narrative skill. He became a public figure not just in politics, but in literature and historical discourse. This dual identity as a thinker and a doer enabled him to influence both public opinion and policy decisions. By the late 1930s, Britain faced a defining moment. With the world hurtling toward war, Churchill's early warnings about Hitler, previously ignored, began to gain credibility. He was appointed First Lord of the Admiralty in 1939, putting him in a pivotal position to shape Britain's naval strategy. Despite previous political setbacks, Churchill's resilience, strategic foresight, and unwavering courage positioned him to become the leader the nation desperately needed. His journey through the political maze, marked by ambition, controversy, and brilliance, had prepared him for a role that demanded extraordinary leadership, vision, and the ability to inspire a nation under threat. In May 1940, Britain stood at a crossroads. Nazi Germany had overrun much of Europe, and the French government teetered on the brink of surrender. At this critical moment, Winston Churchill was appointed Prime Minister, inheriting a nation bracing for invasion and a world plunged into uncertainty. The weight of leadership fell squarely on his shoulders, yet Churchill rose to the challenge with the determination, clarity, and defiance that would define his tenure. Churchill's leadership was multifaceted. He was not only a strategist, making decisions about military operations and alliances, but also a master communicator. His speeches were meticulously crafted to inspire courage and unity. From the House of Commons to radio broadcasts reaching millions across Britain and the Empire, Churchill's words became a lifeline. "We shall fight on the beaches," he declared, galvanizing a nation facing seemingly insurmountable odds. These speeches were more than rhetoric. They were a call to action, a moral anchor during the darkest days of the war. Strategically, Churchill was relentless. He understood the importance of alliances, forging crucial partnerships with Franklin D. Roosevelt of the United States and Joseph Stalin of the Soviet Union. He played a delicate game of diplomacy, balancing competing national interests, while focusing on the ultimate goal: defeating Hitler. His decisions during pivotal campaigns, from the evacuation at Dunkirk to the planning of D-Day, demonstrated a blend of boldness, pragmatism, and foresight. Churchill's leadership was not without controversy. Some decisions were criticized, some mistakes were made, yet his ability to adapt, learn, and persevere under pressure proved essential. Churchill's personal resilience mirrored that of the nation. Despite relentless stress, exhaustion, and personal health struggles, he maintained a public persona of strength and determination. He led by example, embodying the spirit he wished to instill in his people. His presence in bombed streets, in war rooms, and on diplomatic missions served as a constant reminder that leadership required courage, empathy, and unyielding commitment. During these years, Churchill also relied on his intellect and historical perspective. He studied past conflicts, learning from the triumphs and failures of leaders before him. This historical awareness informed his strategies and speeches, providing a depth and gravitas that inspired confidence and trust. By the end of the war, Churchill had not only helped lead Britain to victory, but had also cemented his legacy as one of history's most extraordinary wartime leaders. His leadership demonstrated that true courage is measured not only by personal bravery, but by the ability to guide a nation through uncertainty, fear, and adversity. The end of World War II marked a turning point not only for Britain, but for Winston Churchill himself. Despite his pivotal role in leading the Allies to victory, he faced political defeat in the 1945 general elections. Yet, this setback did little to diminish his influence or his vision. Churchill's post-war years were a time of reflection, writing, and continued public service, revealing the multifaceted nature of his legacy. Churchill turned to his literary pursuits with renewed vigor. He authored a 6-volume history of World War II, alongside other works detailing his personal experiences and historical analysis. These writings earned him the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1953, a recognition not only of his literary skill, but also of his ability to communicate complex events with clarity, insight, and narrative power. Through his books, speeches, and essays, Churchill shaped the historical record, offering future generations a window into the mind of one of history's greatest leaders. Politically, Churchill remained active, returning as Prime Minister from 1951 to 1955. He focused on maintaining Britain's global influence, advocating for peace and stability during the early years of the Cold War. Though older and less physically vigorous, his intellect, experience, and unshakable spirit allowed him to continue contributing meaningfully to national and international affairs. He became a symbol of continuity, resilience, and the enduring importance of principled leadership. Churchill's legacy extends beyond politics and literature. He epitomized courage in adversity, the power of vision, and the capacity to inspire others through words and deeds. He demonstrated that leadership is not merely about authority, but about responsibility, willingness to act decisively, speak truthfully, and endure criticism for the greater good. His life offers lessons in perseverance, moral courage, and the importance of standing firm in the face of uncertainty. Even after his death in 1965, Churchill's influence continued to resonate globally. Statues, memorials, and institutions bear his name, while his speeches remain a source of inspiration. Leaders, historians, and citizens alike study his life to understand how one individual's determination, intellect, and moral courage can shape the course of history. Winston Churchill's story is not simply that of a man who led a nation through war. It is the story of human resilience, the triumph of spirit, and the enduring power of leadership, guided by principle, insight, and unwavering dedication to the common good. As we look back on the life of Winston Churchill, we are reminded that history is not shaped by perfect people, but by those who refuse to give up when the moment demands courage. Churchill was a man of contradictions, bold yet reflective, stubborn yet visionary, flawed yet extraordinary. He faced failures, political exile, and public criticism. But when darkness spread across the world, he stood firm and chose resistance over surrender. His greatest weapon was not just military strategy, but the power of belief in his people, in freedom, and in the idea that words, when spoken with truth and conviction, can change the course of history. Churchill showed us that leadership is not about avoiding fear, but about confronting it head-on and inspiring others to do the same. His legacy lives on not only in history books or wartime victories, but in the timeless lesson that courage, resilience, and determination can light the way even in humanity's darkest hours. And perhaps that is why, decades later, Winston Churchill still speaks to us not from a battlefield or a podium, but from the enduring echo of a man who never stopped believing that the courage to continue is what truly defines greatness. If Churchill's story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments which leader story we should uncover next.